we interrupt your regularly scheduled brainwashing in order to bring you news. Breaking news. A special segment of the almost daily Zencast, focused on curious, quirky, and quixotic news items that you may have missed during the last 48-hour news cycle. Hosted by me, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo.
For our final round of discussion, we turn to Bill Weld, the former Republican governor of Massachusetts. He is running for the Republican presidential nomination against President Trump. And Governor Weld, you worked in the Reagan Justice Department. We are now on the eve of a Republican president using taxpayer money for basically a campaign rally. We have traveled a great distance in Republican world in Washington from that final day of the Reagan presidency to what we're going to see tomorrow.
A word about the last point that President Reagan made there, Lawrence. I think of that whenever I see the Olympics. The Italians look like the Italians. The Ethiopians look like the Ethiopians. The Americans look like everybody. Same point. Same point. I served as an assistant attorney general with great pleasure under President Reagan. I served him for 7 years. Now today, he's saying that what the Department of Justice committed to yesterday based on a Supreme Court ruling has no effect because he's tweeting otherwise. He's basically saying there is no law. He's left any pretense of observing the rule of law. He's saying I, the president, am the law, and we're getting pretty far down that road of what I would call the death throes of democracy. If you look at ancient Rome, the generals would go have a triumph in Britannia, in Germania. They'd come back and have a big triumph, a parade called a triumph in Rome. At least they paid for them themselves. Even Julius Caesar did that. He might have had to borrow the money from Crassus, but he paid for it. And that's bread and circuses, and that's the road the president seems to want to take us down.
Governor, you just made a bunch of references that Donald Trump's not going to understand, so you're going to have to bring it down for him if you're trying to get through to him. But I do want to get your reaction to what we saw in the Justice Department today. This is an extraordinary moment where a federal judge is saying to Justice Department attorneys, what did the President of the United States say today? And none of the legal minds involved could explain to the judge what the President meant by what he said.
Well, of course they didn't want to even try to do that because the president said that what happened in the Supreme Court and what his Justice Department had represented to the court was fake. F-A-K-E. If you read the tweet, it's in capital letters. The reason it's fake is because it's not what Donald Trump wants to have happen, because he wants the world to conform with what's going on in his head. And that all too often has very little to do with the reality of what's actually going on out in the world with institutions like the Supreme Court of the United States, the United States Department of Justice, the people in charge of the border who are holding children in cages smelling of feces and urine. Does the president really think that's going to improve his image in the mind's eye of the country? I think he's so mixed up in his own head that he really doesn't even know.
What happens if the Trump administration defies what is the currently standing Supreme Court order on the census?
Well, if they defy a Supreme Court order, they're not going to do too well in the justice system.
But would they be able to go forward in some way with a census, even when the Supreme Court is saying, no, you can't do it that way?
No, they'd run back to the Supreme Court and say, we want a clarification, and we want to try to overrule this, overturn it, persuade you to do otherwise, like a petition for rehearing. But the department and all its representatives committed in court that they were not going to have a census question, that it was, part of the effort to suppress voting. This administration seems interested in suppressing voting in any jurisdiction where there's a substantial non-white population. It's the opposite of what they should be doing.
Governor Bill Weld gets tonight's last word. Thank you, Governor.
And that is the latest breaking news. we now return you to your regularly scheduled brainwashing. Thank you for listening.